Okay. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera kepada peserta dan juga penonton webinar Worldskills Malaysia yang sedang mengikuti siaran langsung kita menerusi Zoom dan juga live Facebook di Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. Terlebih dahulu saya perkenalkan diri, Nuriah binti Zakaria, Sekretariat Unit Pertandingan Skills Malaysia, Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. Sekali lagi selamat datang ke webinar Worldskills Malaysia yang mana matlamat utama kita adalah untuk menyampaikan maklumat dan perkongsian pengetahuan bagi setiap bidang-bidang pertandingan kemahiran. Untuk makluman memandangkan dengan kekangan pandemik COVID-19 yang melanda dunia, maka banyak pertandingan-pertandingan kemahiran yang dibatalkan dan banyak juga yang ditunda kepada tahun-tahun mendatang. Jadi Worldskills International telah mengisytiharkan tahun ini adalah The Year of Innovation, Showcasing and Promotions kepada semua warga kemahiran seluruh dunia. Untuk makluman di peringkat kebangsaan, JPK menganjurkan Worldskills Malaysia belia dan pengajar dan juga Junior Skills Malaysia JSM untuk peringkat menengah rendah. Manakala di peringkat antarabangsa, Malaysia aktif menyertai ASEAN Skills Competition, Worldskills Asia dan juga pertandingan peringkat kemahiran tertinggi di dunia, Worldskills Competition. Jadi pada petang ini, kita menganjurkan webinar merupakan perkongsian bagi pakar negara dari bidang cooking. Jadi pakar akan berkongsi maklumat dan juga pengalaman beliau kepada semua peserta webinar agar dapat menimba pengetahuan berkaitan aspek pertandingan sama ada di peringkat kebangsaan maupun antarabangsa. Jadi para peserta sekalian, sebelum kita meneruskan webinar ini, ada beberapa perkara untuk kita kongsikan bersama dan beberapa pesanan untuk pengetahuan. Sekali lagi dimaklumkan, siaran webinar ini disiarkan secara langsung menerusi Zoom dan juga live Facebook Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran. Para peserta dijemput untuk bertanya soalan di bahagian Q&A atau chat box. Elakkan menggunakan perkataan yang ringkas supaya soalan anda itu mudah difahami oleh sekretariat dan juga para peserta webinar yang lain. Jadi soalan nanti akan dipilih secara rawak oleh sekretariat untuk diajukan kepada penceramah kita. Jadi seterusnya berkaitan dengan isi jil hanya akan diberikan kepada peserta yang mengisi borang kehadiran webinar dan menjawab soalan penilaian di borang kehadiran. Sila rujuk ruangan chat bagi link tersebut di skrin anda. Nanti sekretariat akan pinkanlah kita punya link tersebut. Jadi perlulah menjawab soalan-soalan tersebut dan pastikan anda mengikuti siaran ini sehingga tamat. Jadi bagi agenda webinar kita pada hari ini, kita akan pergi kepada klip ucapan aluan oleh pengarah bahagian pejabat pemantauan projek PMO. Kita akan ke agenda kedua iaitu sesi pembentangan oleh pakar negara dari bidang cooking dan akhirnya sesi Q&A. Para peserta dan juga penonton webinar sekalian, kita akan terus ke agenda pertama dengan paparan klip ucapan dari pengarah bahagian pejabat pemantauan projek Puan Hajah Zuliah binti Darsung.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Terlebih dahulu, marilah kita sama-sama memanjatkan kesyukuran ke atas kehadrat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana dengan izin dan limpah kurnianya dapat kita bersama-sama hadir dalam satu lagi program perkongsian ilmu iaitu webinar Skills Malaysia 2021 yang dianjurkan oleh Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran JPK, Kementerian Kerja Raya KKR dengan kerjasama Pusat Latihan Pengajar dan Kemahiran Lanjutan SIAS. Webinar ini diadakan sempena dengan tema Worldskills International Year of Innovation, Showcasing and Promotion. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, webinar Skills Malaysia 2021 dibuat dalam talian secara maya mengikut di bidang kemahiran dan kita rancangkan pada tahun ini sebanyak 20 webinar yang akan diadakan. Ianya bertujuan untuk menyampaikan maklumat bagi setiap bidang yang dipertandingkan. Maklumat pertandingan ini penting bagi memastikan semua aktiviti pertandingan di peringkat agensi dapat berjalan dengan lancar. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, ekoran pandemik COVID-19 yang melanda seluruh negara termasuklah Malaysia, pada tahun 2020 pertandingan peringkat kebangsaan tidak dapat dijalankan. Begitu juga dengan peringkat antarabangsa di mana pertandingan terpaksa ditunda dan ada yang dibatalkan. Antara objektif program webinar Skills Malaysia 2021 ini adalah untuk memberi peluang kepada warga kemahiran untuk menimba pengetahuan mengenai pertandingan kemahiran, peringkat kebangsaan dan antarabangsa dari pakar yang berpengalaman dalam pertandingan peringkat kebangsaan dan juga antarabangsa. Kedua, meningkatkan pengetahuan para peserta, jurulatih dan personel pertandingan tentang technical description, test projek, senarai infrastruktur, skim pemarkahan dan juga maklumat teknikal dalam pertandingan. Dan semestinya webinar ini memberi pendedahan dan maklumat awal kepada para peserta yang telah mendaftar sebagai peserta untuk menghadapi pertandingan yang akan diadakan kelak. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan, sasaran bagi program webinar Skills Malaysia 2021 ini adalah tenaga pengajar di pusat-pusat latihan kemahiran awam dan juga swasta, Institut Latihan Pendidikan Awam dan juga swasta, begitu juga dengan pelajar dan pengurusan. Untuk itu, saya mengucapkan tahniah kepada mereka yang mengikut program pada hari ini secara maya dan diharapkan informasi serta pelbagai maklumat dapat dimanfaatkan sepenuhnya. Tuan-tuan dan puan-puan sekalian, akhir kata, setinggi-tinggi ucapan terima kasih kepada penceramah yang sudi hadir pada kali ini, berkongsi maklumat serta pengalaman yang berharga dalam program webinar ini. Harapan saya agar maklumat yang disampaikan ini dapat memberi manfaat kepada semua. Saya juga ingin mengucapkan syabas dan tahniah kepada Urustia serta semua yang menjayakan webinar pada hari ini. Sokongan tuan-puan terhadap pertandingan kemahiran amat dihargai. Sekian, saya sudahi dengan wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera.
Demikianlah tadi klip ucapan Puan Haja Zulia binti Darsung, pengarah JPK yang telah kita rakamkan lebih awal. Para peserta yang dihormati, tanpa melengahkan masa, kita ke agenda yang kedua, iaitu sesi pembentangan dan taklimat oleh Pakar Negara dari Bidang Cooking, Chef FAROUK bin Osman. Untuk makluman, sedikit biodata ringkas. Chef FAROUK, beliau berkelulusan Master Degree in International Hospitality Management, University of Toulouse, Perancis. Sekarang memegang jawatan sebagai Senior Lecturer di Faculty of Hospitality, Food and Leisure Management di Talis University College, berpengalaman luas selama hampir 24 tahun dalam bidang kulineri. Berpengalaman kerja di hotel dan restoran terkemuka luar negara di St. Gallen, Switzerland dan The Royal Garden Hotel St. Kensington, London. Manakala di dalam negara pernah bertugas di rangkaian Hotel Mines, Telawi Street Bistro dan Starwood Group of Hotel. Pengalaman beliau dalam bidang pertandingan kemahiran di peringkat kebangsaan sebagai hakim dan penggubal soalan pertandingan WSMB hampir 8 tahun, turut dilantik sebagai pakar negara di ASEAN Skills Competition, ASC dan Worldskills Competition WSC dalam tempoh yang sama. Kemuncak pencapaian beliau telah membawa peserta negara merangkul pingat gangsa di Worldskills Competition WSC Abu Dhabi 2017. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan Chef FAROUK. Assalamualaikum Chef.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Puan Nuria.
Sihat ke?
Saya alhamdulillah
Masak apa
diberkati
hari
insya-Allah.
Masak apa
Hari ini sirloin steak Diamantina quality.
Boleh hantar ke sekretariat lah hari ini.
Boleh insya-Allah, boleh. Ada saya ada beli Diamantina punya chill sirloin insya-Allah.
Okey Chef, kita teruskanlah dengan sesi pembentangan oleh Chef. Dipersilakan.
Terima kasih Puan Nuria selaku pengerusi majlis, Puan Haja Zulia selaku pengarah Jabatan Pembangunan Kemahiran, para hadirin hadirat, muslimin muslimat, ahli jawatan kuasa webinar Jabatan Kemahiran, dan juga Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, dan salam sejahtera buat semua para penonton, para hadirin yang hadir, yang tidak dapat hadir, yang hendak hadir tapi tidak dapat hadir. Semoga diberkati semua dari dunia hingga akhirat. InsyaAllah, bagi yang mengenali saya, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Sekali lagi, salam rindu dari saya kepada semua. Dan bagi yang tidak mengenali saya, nama diberi adalah FAROUK bin OTHMAN dan tanggungjawab diberi pula adalah selaku pakar negara dalam bidang cooking di pentas pertandingan Worldskills di Malaysia, di peringkat ASEAN dan juga antarabangsa. Lantikan jawatan adalah Senior Lecturer 1 di Taylor's University, Malaysia. Walaupun masa yang diberi agak suntuk untuk kita bincangkan seluruh perkara tentang Worldskills, tapi saya akan cuba beri sedikit ringkasan dan juga sedikit pencerahan dan juga perkongsian tentang cerita-cerita yang telah kita lalui sepanjang tahun-tahun berada di pentas dunia, berperang, dan ada kala kalah, ada kala menang, ada kala dapat balik pingat emas, ada kala balik dengan tangan kosong. Tak, maaf, cooking tak pernah balik tangan kosong. Cooking tak pernah balik tangan kosong. Daripada ASEAN ke international, kita tak pernah bawa balik tangan kosong. Sentiasa ada je benda bawa balik. Selain daripada oleh-oleh, insya-Allah. Baik, I will actually present in English. We will mix up a bit here and there. Overview of the what you call of the test project and what's going on in the Worldskills. You can actually have a look in the website, which is wsi.com, I think, .gov, something like that. But what is the most important thing that we need to share today is your intangible preparation and also experience before we enter the what you call the lion's den, or in internationals, in layman's term, before you enter the war zone. Because we always believe that when entering a competition, we are actually entering a war zone. So kalau kita pergi perang, takkan kita nak bawa pistol je, tak ada peluru. Peluru pun bukan peluru calang-calang, kita kena ambil lah peluru yang power-power sikit. Silver bullet ke kan, kalau boleh gold bullet lah, terdapat gold medal. Kalau dapat silver bullet, dah jadi silver medal. Jadi kita kena, kalau bawa peluru gangster, dapatlah pingat gangster. Dan kalau bawa peluru tembaga, dapatlah tembaga. So anyways, we are in trade cooking. We are like number 34 trade in the Worldskills. There are about 62 trade, if I'm not mistaken. We are always in Malaysian team. We are always aiming for gold, and a little bit of chronology of what we have done since myself and also Chef Sabri was involved those days, and now Chef Sabri have stepped down, and I have to actually take over, and also with a couple of other guys that is in the list. We have actually started off the Worldskills in Jakarta, in ASEAN, in Jakarta, year 2012, where we brought back gold medal, similarly to Hanoi in Vietnam, and then in 2016 we have Worldskills Malaysia that we are the host country, it is held in Kuala Lumpur in MAIPS. And recently the last one that we had, we were supposed to have one last year in Singapore with two of our candidates from UiTM, but unfortunately because of the pandemic we have to withdraw or basically postpone the competition. Now the competition is finally cancelled. But so unfortunately we can't attend Singapore. So the last ASEAN skill that we went through is actually in Bangkok, Thailand, where we also won gold. So basically in ASEAN skills since year 2012, we have always came back with a gold medal, and we have always expect to come back with a gold in Singapore anyways for the ex or the future competitor who actually got turned down by the ASEAN Skills Singapore. Don't worry, I think the goal is in your heart anyway. So we've been there. And although the competition is cancelled physically, we know that we're gonna win gold in Singapore anyways, and at the next ASEAN Skill, and we will definitely win gold again. So this is the expectation that we have in ASEAN Skill, and now moving forward, and in 2017 we managed to break the what you call the record of a non-medal in the World Skills to have to contribute a bronze medal to the country in the World Skills Abu Dhabi in 2017 with Lai Jai as our competitor and myself as an expert. And of course, in every World Skills that we went through in 2013 in the World Skills Leipzig, in World Skills Sao Paulo 2015, and in Kazan with the last 2 years, I was actually we brought back Medal of Excellence. So when we have excellence, that means the competitor is competent in that trade and above expectation. However, there's only a couple of medal, what do you call medal ratio and also quota. So you cannot give like 10 gold medal, although they have a difference of 0.5 marks. So I can say straight away between the marks of the Kazan competitor, between our competitor in Kazan, which got number 13, and between him and the number 1, the difference of mark is probably just about 6 or 7 marks. So it is very crucial because every single thing is being taken into account, and you have to go through almost perfection, and you have to go through without a doubt. There is no mistake to be done. So of course, in the World Skills, we also have what we call this award, an additional award called Best of Nation, whereby Best of Nation is actually the marks, a competitor's mark, the highest mark for a competitor for that country. So that means, like I stated in the slide now, in World Skills ASEAN Jakarta, in World Skills Leipzig, in World Skills ASEAN Hanoi, Vietnam, and World Skills ASEAN Bangkok in Thailand, cooking competitor got the Best of Nation award because we won, or we managed to get the highest mark among all the competitor in Malaysia for Malaysian team. So basically, Best of Nation is an additional award or medal given to a competitor in that nation who have been awarded the highest mark among all the other competitor in other trade. So cooking has so far gone through a very good background chronology and also award winning and also medal winning, and brought back lots of accreditation to the country. And now we are also as a Malaysian team has given a little bit of spark and a little bit of appearance in the World Skills platform, whereby before Malaysian was just looked at the one who's just gonna be like the top 30 or the top 40, and now we always remain either in the top 20 or in the top 10. So for the future competitor, there's a big shoe to fill in, and of course, we have always been consistent with this, and the key of the consistency will be highlighted soon, shortly. Okay, and of course, cooking trade has been the most popular trade in the World Skills, whether it's in Malaysia, whether it's in ASEAN, whether it's in the international ground. Cooking trade has always been the most popular one. I don't know why. Maybe because people like to see other people cooking. I don't know about that. I don't have that kind of experience to see people cooking. I mean, in my point of view, it's a bit different from a public point of view. So maybe the one who's not in the trade, they really enjoy looking at that rushing and the adrenaline going on in the kitchen, whereby we start to cook, some flame coming out, some smoke coming out, somebody's in trouble here and there, somebody cut their fingers here and there. So anyways, so the picture's shown that this is the first time in cooking trade that we have Malaysian flag in the podium of Abu Dhabi. This is the competitor now. Competitor was in Abu Dhabi. He was Lai Jai. He was a student from Tilis University. He is actually my student, and he is now working in Singapore, doing very well. And I'm telling you straight away, it's not just about the competition, it's not just about the rules, it's not just about the test project, it's not just about all these technical description items and all these technical values. What's important is the heart that you have. This is what difference that this competitor have. The heart of winning, the spirit of winning, and the ideology of never say no, and you do not stop. You do not stop, no matter what. No matter what, you don't stop. If you're out of idea, go and find one. If you're hungry, go and find food, right? Something like that. You don't just stop and say, ah man, I'm fed up, I'm bored. You never go to that direction. And I'm telling you, this competitor, he have the motivation to go forward anytime, any day. And you have to have that heart of the eagerness to win, the desire to win and to bring what? To bring proud to the nation, which is Malaysia. Because Malaysia, if we win the competition in the international ground, they will actually take into account as our what do you call our skill competency in the country. So of course, it's not easy to win. It is not like everywhere and you can just get gold medal. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of planning. It requires a lot of ideas. It requires a lot of work. So basically, when we train competitors from the World Skills Malaysia, we are actually training them for World Skills International. That is why you will feel the pinch of the World Skills Malaysia Belia from the Prakelayakan to the final is actually adapt from the World Skills International, and also the marking standard will be taken from World Skills International, because we are actually assuming the gold medalist for WSMB will be representing Malaysia for the ASEAN skill and will get gold, and then we'll get gold again in the World Skills International. We're not just looking for a one-time approach or a one-night stand with a competitor. We're not interested in this. We're interested in a commitment of at least 2 years of commitment, because the journey of a world skill starts from WSMB. You have to enter the Prakelayakan first. Once you win the Prakelayakan, then you go to the final. You go to the final, you get gold medal, then or maybe gold and silver perhaps, or maybe gold to gold, whatever. But you get the top two. The top two of the WSMB final will go to represent Malaysia for the ASEAN skill. Okay. If there's no gold medal for the WSMB, that means nobody is competent for the competition. We will not bring anyone to ASEAN skill. If we're not bringing anyone to ASEAN skill, probably we look for another platform to find somebody to go for the World Skills International. Because unfortunately, in the WSMB platform that year, we could not find any candidate. So after you win the final in WSMB, you get gold or the top marks, and then you represent Malaysia for the ASEAN skill. We will bring two competitors in the ASEAN skill. With the two competitors in ASEAN skill, the highest one will actually go to the World Skills International. So between the two competitors in the ASEAN skill, you are actually competing among each other. You see, so because only one will go to the World Skills International, so the best will go unless you forfeit. So World Skills Belia Malaysia, example, in 2019, and then it will work for World Skill ASEAN in 2020, and also World Skill International in 2021. So ASEAN Skill and World Skill International happens biannually. WSMB or World Skill Malaysia Belia works every year. So usually it's also possible that we take the winner for WSMB 2019 and the winner for WSMB 2020 in example. So it depends how the organization goes, and it depends on how the marks of the competitor in the WSMB and how their performance is, because we will not just bring any Tom, Dick and Harry to go to the ASEAN skill, because we expect when you come back with a gold medal, that's it. There's no compromise. Seriously, because there is either you win or you don't go. Simple as it. This is the philosophy, and you have to commit 2 years. And usually one of the prominent compulsory law, number one law, is no commitment with any boyfriend or girlfriend when you enter the World Skills. This is one, because we have always gone through this experience with a competitor that has relationships with their boyfriend or girlfriend. They tend to lag their training. They tend to rush their training. They lost concentration. You see, up to one stage, I'm telling you straight away, there's one competitor that I had before with my student in Taylor's. He feel that he had control of himself and also the timing. But then all of a sudden, I kept on seeing him on the phone every time during we are on training. So when I was asking him what you were doing, he said I was calling my girlfriend. So what happened is that I brought his girlfriend come to the kitchen and do a wash up for him. So he will spend a time with his girlfriend in the kitchen. Since you don't want to break up, you don't want to wait for the Worldskills to finish, you come and wash up for your boyfriend if you love him so much. There to do. Then after 1 month, they broke up. Maybe because girlfriend dia tak tahan kot, nak kena basuh pinggan. Hey, seriously, this happened in tailors, okay? I'm not joking, because I smile a lot now, but in the kitchen I don't really do smile much because we are in a serious business, okay? So and then of course you have to spend a lot of time with JBK as our organizer and our sponsor. They will actually bring us to Kemotivasi, to bring you to actually get you ready physically and mentally. This is also a great opportunity for you to not just to prepare yourself in the competition, but also to prepare yourself as a person, as an individual, as an identity. Because the winner for Worldskills must not just equip the skills, must also equip with communication skills, must also equip with personality. Personality is very important in Worldskills. That is why one of the reasons why we brought back medals. We have personality. The moment you see, bam, Malaysian is there. So, okay, we better be careful. So, we have to the moment the moment we step in, we have to make a statement already. This is the biggest point. That is why we try our very best to get the most top-notch and perfect, and also the most elegant and very slick uniform for the competitors and the experts. Because the moment you step in, you'll create goosebumps around the community. Say, oh man, this Malaysia. Nanti kan orang tengok ni Malaysia lah, cebe je, pakai macam orang kampung je, ini macam ni nak menang gol. You see, because the first impression is also what we call a reverse psychology to other competitors and experts. It will create, oh wow. It will create, oh wow, this Malaysian team, oh wow, they have improved so much. Ini adalah kata-kata competitor and expert di Worldskills. Just by looking at us. We haven't talked yet. We haven't said anything yet. We don't have to say anything because our body language speaks in the Worldskills. So this is very important. So sometimes in Worldskills, even the expert and competitor, the more you talk, the more trouble you're going to get. So we just remain silent and we just shoot whenever we need to shoot. Macam pergi perang. Mana ada orang borak masa pergi perang. Macam tu lah dekat Worldskills. You can ask any competitor before. One of the rules in the Worldskills, you are not allowed, the expert are not allowed to speak to the competitor. That means when I become an expert, I also become a jury during the competition. I'm not allowed to speak to my competitor. This goes for everyone. If I'm seen talking to my competitor, there will be a penalty mark. I'll get a warning from the chief expert, and probably there will be a heavy penalty whereby I could be removed as a jury. But if I were to be removed as a jury, then probably the flag will be in trouble because we will lose one advantage mark from our own expert or our own jury. So these are the kind of things that you need to know what's going on in the Worldskills, because there are a bit more. We'll go through shortly later on as how we goes by. There's actually a lot that is not explained in the technical description. I mean, you can read the test project, you can read the technical description. It's always there in the website anyways. But what's the most important thing is our preparation to make sure that we are in a team and as a unit, and we don't have to speak to win, and we just have what we call this mutual understanding between the expert, the coach for the competitor, and also the competitor itself. Because usually the coach of the competitor is actually the lecturer of the competitor itself, and will actually monitor. What happened is that usually what happened is as an expert, you also have a coach. Don't get me wrong, we're not saying that the coach is more important than the expert, and we're not saying that the expert is more important than the coach. Over here, the most important thing is the competitor. You have to understand that straight away. Expert is nothing. We are just there to make sure that no one is stepping on your head. We are there to protect the competitor. We are there to do fair marking and judging to make sure the competition is done in a fair ground. Because the most important assets in this competition and organization is the competitor. So coach and expert is just there to support the competitor. Kita bukan nak masuk Worldskills ni nak cari popularity, tidak. Kalau niat utama seorang coach atau expert yang masuk dekat Worldskills ni untuk mencari popularity, untuk mencari promosi dan sebagainya, you're in the wrong game. You're in the wrong platform. I'm telling you, and you'll never come back with a gold medal. Because the idea is for you to protect the competitor, to take care of the competitor as if that he's a king. He is the asset of the country and is also asset for our future gold medal. So it is very important that for us have to lay low and to train the competitor and make sure there's no dispute between these three triangles, between the expert, the coach, and the competitor. Usually what happens, the competitor will get a briefing from the expert about this. We're talking about the winner of WSMB that will go to ASEAN Skill or the Worldskills. The coach will usually, we just do one scenario example that happened before in UITM. We have UITM competitor. Just an example, okay? This is what happened last year. Because before this, most of it was actually Taylor students. So when they are Taylor students, it's a bit easy for us to organize because I am the coach and I am the expert. So it's a bit dominant there. So when you have another student from another college, so I have to, or another institution, I have to work with this and to make sure that we are in one unit. Because banyak kadang-kadang kita tengok di dalam bidang-bidang yang lain, coach bergaduh dengan expert tak puas hati dengan coach, lepas tu kan coach gaduh dengan kompetitor pun ada, kerana coach kompetitor gaduh dengan expert pun ada. Ini semua pening, gaduh-gaduh ni, because kita belum pergi perang ni kita dah gaduh sama kita. Macam mana kita nak perang dengan orang? So we cannot afford to have any dispute between these three person. This is a super important position, which is the most important thing. The most important position is the competitor. Macam mana kalau coach dengan expert kalau gaduh, nanti competitor tengok apa lawan tua dua orang ni asyik nak gaduh dan nak bertekak je. So this is the biggest problem sometimes we have. So we are trying our very best to make sure that the competitor runs smooth in their practice without having to have any headache and dispute between the politics going on with the expert and the coach, and they can practice smoothly, because any psychological issue will also demotivated, will be demote on the competitor's kind of spiritual behavior. So it's very important. It's just not skills. It also involves spiritual behavior. It also involves their adrenaline, their energy, their spiritual motivation. There's a lot of things involved, psychologically, mentally, sociology, physiology. All these are in, because it all in, and all the positive ions coming into the body, and they will become a winner. So usually what happens, an expert will actually explain to the coach and the competitor about what's going on. This is the guideline, this is the outline. This is what happened when we had an experience with the UITM students and also coach. So I have explained, or the expert explained how things are done in the Worldskills in detail, how test project should be, and we have outlined and pre-discussed the skeleton of the ideology on the test project. And then from there, the competitor and the coach will go back to their training ground, which happens to be their campus, wherever they are. And then they will train. Expert will come in and do visitation based on whenever they think that they are ready for us to visit. So whatever the expert comes in, whenever the expert comes in, whatever he says is dominant. Any dispute or argumentation that happen between the expert, or disagreement between the expert and the coach, must be settled there and then. The biggest problem that we have, sometimes the expert come and do visitation, instruct the competitor while the coach is looking at, but the coach is sitting down quietly, and then the expert go home, go back to their own place, and then while the coach and competitor train, the coach says something else. Cannot. Anything that the coach and competitor change without the knowledge of the expert must be highlighted. That means if I were to say, okay, the recipe that you've done for the cream of mushroom soup, you must add 10 millimeter more of cream. And then bila expert balik, and then coach cakap 10 millimeter tak cukup. Tambah lagi 50 milliliter. 10 milliliter mana cukup, ini expert mana tahu apa. So aku coach kau, jalan, ikut cakap aku. So when attitude, you have a problem. If you don't follow what the expert is saying, then you want to do your own way, then why don't you become the expert? You go and apply to become an expert. Simple as that. So when a coach creates something like that, then it will be a trouble. Usually we will discuss. Okay, the coach say A, the expert say B. So okay, why don't we do like this, like this? So maybe the expert can agree with what the coach is saying. We're not saying that the coach is 100% correct, but this is cooking, for heaven's sake. It's very subjective. Some things that the expert might mislook, and all of a sudden the coach have a bit of idea, because sometimes the coach also have an experience in some of Worldskills competition. So it's very important to protect the what do you call the spiritual behavior of the competitor itself. So for us not to show our differences in this organization, because the coach might have in a different background, the expert must go in a bit different background. But I'm telling you straight away, whenever you're in the Worldskills, we have to put all our background aside, and we have to learn, eat, drink, sleep, cook in a Worldskills ideology, because Worldskills have its own ideology through its test project. So you have to know the marking scheme, the expectation of the jury. But the expectation of the jury is very simple. You have to do superb. You have to do superb, because if you just do good, they'll give you example. Yeah, marking system for subjective marking is 0, 1, 2, 3, right? If you're good, they give you 2, because 2 is meet industry standard. Number 1, average in industry standard. 0 is below industry standard. Number 3, excellent and above industry standard. So that means when the marking scheme say excellent, excellent means almost to perfection. Of course, we know that nothing is perfect, but the biggest problem is we have to go to that direction. Okay, we'll discuss that a bit detail later on. So the test project. Commonly, we have worked with 16 hours of worth of test project that is divided into 4 days. Either you have 4 hours a day, or 4 hours 2 days, and then the third day is 8 hours. It depends on the organization. It depends on the expert forum, and also depends on what happened in the Worldskills organization and setup, because there are possibility that 16 hours become 3 days, and there are possibility in the Worldskills as well that 16 hours becomes 2 days. But whatever it is, usually we have a standard of 16 hours of test project. Although we can do more, up to 21 hours, we can do lesser, about 14 hours, but in the Worldskills is standard that we use 16 hours test project. Most of the experts do not agree to do less or more. It has been like that. I've been since Leipzig until Sao Paulo and until Kazan. They believe in that 16 hours. And usually when we do the test project, that 16 hours is separated into 4 days. But in case if there's no enough facility, or there's too many competitors to suit up into the facility of the kitchen setup, so they might change. This is off and on. It will update in the expert forum when closer to the competition, or 3 months before the competition when they set it up. So like I mentioned before, the Worldskills ASEAN, we will bring 2 competitors and 2 experts to come in. We were actually appointed as a chief expert for Bangkok, and I'm supposed to become the chief expert for ASEAN Singapore as well. But yeah, but unfortunately, Worldskills ASEAN Singapore is not happening. But I'll tell you a bit more about my experience in the world as a chief expert in the Worldskills ASEAN. It's very intriguing. Chef Budiman was there to also become my right-hand man. And of course, he is actually the wings that I could fly. in Bangkok at that time. And obviously, one expert is never enough in ASEAN skill. And of course, in the Worldskills International now, we can only bring one competitor and one expert. Worldskills ASEAN, or the Worldskills itself, is very challenging in sense of, not to say the politics involved. It's also about expectation, because when a competitor comes in, the only thing that's going on in the jury's mind is actually to find mistake. They will try their very best to find any mistake that you are doing. Setiap kesilapan, setiap perincian di dalam semasa dalam petak competition tu, petak pertandingan tu akan dia ambil kira. Example. People have habit, or competitors have habit of turning on the stove. Turning on the stove, but then remove the pot, but the stove is still on. Right? When the stove is on, but there's no pot on it and there's nothing cooking on top of an open burner stove top, there will be marked deduction. Why? This is wastages. Against energy. You're wasting energy. You're wasting gas. And plus, on top of that, double deduction, because there'll be one more team of experts who are in charge of hygiene and safety. They'll deduct, oh, very dangerous. You open up a burner without anything on cooking. So in the Worldskills, expert is been divided into groups of segments of marking system. So we have tasting jury, we have visual appeal jury, we have health and safety jury, we have ordering jury, we have what do you call, the one who actually take care of your hygiene and cleanliness, the one that take care of your organization. So we have about 6 to 7 group of jury. So example with the one that open burner, right? You have 2 groups deducting your marks, and these are objective marking. Objective marking is either yes or no. So yes or no, the biggest problem is that, are you practicing hygiene? No. Is that a yes or no? So are you practicing safety standards? Yes or no? That's it. Are you practicing a good arrangement HACCP in your fridge? Yes or no? That's it. You arrange your items in the fridge. You have a raw meat on top and vegetable underneath. That's it. And then on top of that, they also have a bad habit in the hygiene. So bad habit means rubbing your nose. The biggest problem that we have, we also have a big mark deduction, is the one who have yang pakai cermata. So tangan macam ni. Tangan tu betulkan cermata. Tapi dia cakap itu hygiene problem. Because when you are working, you're having a sweat. When you sweat, your spectacles go down a little bit, right, on the nose, on your nose here. So the moment it goes down, you get distracted. So you tend to, this is a very bad habit. We can say a habit, not to say bad habit, but in the Worldskills they call it bad habit. But it's a habit for people who wear glasses. Tapi dalam bidang masakan ni dia tak boleh. You cannot do that. And some will be like that. The moment you touch your face, you have to wash your hand. Simple as that. So all these are criteria that you must be careful. Of course, there are much more detailed criteria which I cannot mention one by one, because if I were to go through the marking scheme one by one, we probably finish tomorrow midnight, because there are so many columns and so many lines to go through. But one of it is the general HACCP standards, and then you have the general hygiene, of course, your uniform. These are the normal thing that we practice in college, the normal things that we practice in the industry, basically. But the thing that I will highlight is the thing that you might not even guess or even know what's going on. Like example, that open burner. Kita masak tapi stove tu terbuka. Tapi kita alih, tu stove tu biar je terbuka. Senang, nanti tak payah nak pusing-pusing lagi. People have that ideology, but in the Worldskills is two-way mark deduction. One is wasting of energy, Another one is dangerous and hazardous because the burner is open. Because when the burner is open, when you try to take another pot from the other side of the stove top, you will actually can burn your hand, can burn your arm. Although that does not happen, but the jury is actually arguing this fact in the jury room to deduct your mark because that happened. They will say, oh, what if this happened? What if that happened? So when you are creating that problem, the what if could come in the jury room to argue. So when nobody else argue, then they will continue to deduct your mark. You see. So example, you don't wear socks. You don't wear socks in the competition. We have a competitor who doesn't wear socks. I don't know why, but not our competitor, of course. Our competitor sudah lama pakai. So when you don't wear socks, number one is hygiene. Number two is safety. So another two double deduction. So this is things that you must understand and you must know when you're doing Worldskills, because every single thing from top of your head to the bottom of your feet is counted and is been looked into. And that is why we always believe in perfection in the competition. Although Allah yang maha sempurna, yang tidak ada makhluk yang sempurna selain daripada Allah. Tetapi selain daripada Allah, Allah bukan makhluk. Jadi, what I'm trying to say is that you have to reach for that perfection. Although perfection doesn't exist in our human nature, but you have to make sure you die trying and die not knowing. This is the philosophy that we have in the kitchen when we practice. Because you will get bored. I'm telling you straight away, as a competitor, you will get bored at one stage when you practice because you are doing the same thing. We brainstorm and then we have once we practice, and then we lock the recipe. Once we lock the recipe, you just have to continue doing the same thing. Over how many years? Probably 1 year, 2 years. You probably do have to do the same thing and you practice. It's like you know when we have a water that is dripping from a rooftop to the stone, right? That water is so soft that it doesn't give you any effect on the rock for a few months. But after 1 year, you will see that rock will little bit become a bit affected by the water droplets. Dia akan terhakis. Itulah kesan latihan. Kita tak nampak benda tu, kita berlatih, hari-hari kita kopek bawang, hari-hari kita masak sup, hari-hari kita buat ni, hari-hari kita buat crispy garnish, hari-hari kita buat mashed potato. Tapi without realizing, from the first time that you do your mashed potato, it takes you about 10 minutes. After 1 year of doing a mashed potato almost every day, we can say 300 days in 300 days. So if you don't rest, you do 365 days of mashed potato. And from that 10 minutes, probably will take you just another 4 minutes to do mashed potato. So this is the idea of practice. So when we practice more, it will without noticing, it will affect on our skills and also our speed if you're consistent. And when you are improving in your speed as you are practicing, we can add more items to your test project, garnishes or decoration. This is super important because these additional garnishes and garnishes and also decoration will actually enhance your presentation and also make your plate a bit more into a perfection side. Because if you just follow 100% on a test project and just out you go to the jury, you'll just get minimum base mark, 50%. That's it. In order to get gold, you need to score at least 50% perfect mark. 50% perfect mark. That means you must have a full mark on 50% of the criteria, at least. So this is something that you need to know. So if you the rest of the thing, if you get 2 and 1, usually 2. If 50% of your mark is in a perfect score, the rest of the mark, I'm telling you straight away, you're gonna get 2. You'll never get 1 or 0 because that 50% of perfect mark shows that you are very consistent. Simple as that. It is very difficult to understand, but somehow when you score in that manner, you will actually be there. You are on top. So perfection is a lot of little things done well. So every single thing, even how you stand while peeling your onion, how you stand while peeling your garlic, how you stand while you cook or you saute your potatoes, how you stand and in front of the oven, how you open up the oven, how you open up the fridge, how you run from one area to another area, how you walk from part A to part B, how you wash up, how you turn on the sink, how you close the drawer of the chiller, how you close the door of your oven. Every single thing counts, and every single step that you make inside that competition counts, because we will count every single minute that you spend in that competition box, because every single minute counts. You will have 4 hours, example, in one day. In that 4 hours, you'll probably do 2 part of your test project. Example, you have 1 soup, 1 appetizer, or you have 1 appetizer and 1 finger food, right? So you are given half an hour, you are given 15 minutes before and 15 minutes after. That means 15 minutes before to set up your station. And then 15 minutes after the competition to clean up. And then you must go out from the competition box, clean, like how you first came in. You cannot just leave and just take your own time when you finish. That is why we are pushing everyone in WSMB to clean up and go. Dia tak boleh nak lepak-lepak, tak boleh nak buang masa, selamba walaupun dah habis. No, because we have marks taken down into people who do not leave their kitchen in a clean manner. Although in WSMB, we do not practice that at 100%, kita banyak tutup sebelah mata je against hygiene and also your timing value in when you leave the kitchen, because I'm telling you straight away from my past experience in WSMB, saya pernah cakap dengan pihak juri, kalau kita ambil penelitian atau perincian about hygiene semasa WSMB, tak ada orang yang akan pergi ke Worldskills. Tak ada orang yang akan dapat medal. So, masa dia layak ke WSM, bila dia layak ke ASEAN Skill, baru kita mula asah tentang hygiene dan apa-apa kelemahan yang dia ada. Tapi biasanya the medalist untuk WSMB ni memang hygiene semua memang tip-top lah. That's one thing for sure. Tapi we don't really take into account of the timing of cleaning out and everything. We are basically, kita banyak lebih bertolak ansur di WSMB. Tapi when you are in Worldskills ASEAN and Worldskills International, there's no way we can compromise hygiene. And you have to do in a sense of perfection. There's no way that we can settle with good. Okay, we're good. Kalau dia tak ada wow factor dalam dia punya plating up and dia punya presentation dan dia punya rasa, if there's no wow factor, we're not going to the competition. I'll tell you a story. In Jakarta. Okay, Jakarta was in 2012, right? The other day, just now. 2000, hold on. Tak ingat lah. Okay, 2012. Jakarta happened in 2012. This is the second ASEAN Skill that we went through, handled by JPK, because JPK took over since Worldskills London, if I'm not mistaken, can't recall. So, but anyways, and then Taylor's student was actually selected to go to ASEAN Skill in Jakarta, together with, if I'm not mistaken, with a college community, a girl from college community, Langkawi, if I'm not mistaken, something like that. So both of them did very well. The girl came out with a medal of excellence, and the Taylor student competitor came back with a gold medal. Unfortunately, there was a bit of a hanky-panky going on in the jury area. That time was my first time together with Chef Sabri. Chef Sabri was the main expert. I was the second person. And the beauty of this of the whole argumentation in the jury room is that the other country is actually fighting for the Malaysian competitor. because the Malaysian competitor did so well that after the second day of the competition, the juries and experts just go behind me and pat, is this your boy? I think this one gold medal. After the third day, they'll say definitely this one gold medal. If the jury, among the jury, go to my shoulder and then pat my back, your competitor did very well. Your competitor did very good. Ini semua politik. Because they will say, this is all very good. Okay, dalam pemangkahan dia bagi kosong. Kosong satu. But if you do very well, you do exceptionally well, I don't have to say anything. The jury will come to me and say something that your competitor will get gold. And at the end of the day, if the competitor don't get gold, because what happened is that on the final day of the competition, you have competition day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4. After that is the jury expert kind of while the competitor go for excursion and all these outing because they finish their competition, the expert will actually come back the next day to have a meeting and to have an agreement with the marks. So the expert will actually got to know the standing of the marks for everyone those days. So nowadays everyone will only see their own mark because the problem is people have a dispute. So they stop that straight away. So we can see who's ranking number 1, who's ranking number 2. But they stopped that recently, so everyone can only see their own mark. Although some trade would be able to do that and be able to see the ranking before the final announcement. Of course, we have our mouth zip, and every expert have to agree with this result. So the beauty of it, the first time it happened in Jakarta, Malaysia competitor got number 4. His name is Kim Lun. He's my student. He got number 4. Indonesia got number 1 and number 2. Number 3 was, if I'm not mistaken, was Vietnam. So boleh nampak lah yang Vietnam ni macam pakat-pakat dengan Indo, and of course Indonesian has actually lobby out the gold and silver. So Malaysia got what? Medal of Excellence at number 4, not even a bronze. And then the moment everyone saw that result, everyone put down their paper and looked at me. Chef, you agree the result? And I say, at that time, I was not the chief expert, I was just an expert. Chef Sabri was the main expert. And then I was very quiet because it's my first experience in ASEAN Skill, so I remained very passive. Although they don't even know that was actually my competitor, apart from the Singaporean expert, because I know that Singaporean expert. The rest, we have Philippines, Thailand, Cambodia, Cambodia, Myanmar, Singapore, Philippines, Brunei, Thailand, Myanmar, Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam. So Singapore say to me, this result is tipu, because the Indonesian competitor burned his chocolate cake in one of the modules, and another competitor cut their hand deeply and have to have a 20 minutes break. It means overtime break. So that 20 minutes is given to him extra after the official timing finish. So when you cut your finger in the Worldskills, there's also a mark deduction, which is called under safety. Although it's an accident, but they say you're not careful. That means that is counted as negligence, kecuaian. So kita tak boleh cuai. Walau cuai pun tak boleh. Cuai pun, kecuaian kita dalam competition pun menjadi kesalahan. This is the biggest thing about Worldskills. I'm not saying it's the beauty of it, but I don't agree with it. I seriously don't agree that when a competitor had an accident, you should get a mark deduction, because dah lah dia potong tangan, lagi kena potong markah pula. Aduh, 2 kali potong, lagi pening. So, and competitor knows that. When the competitor knows that he cut his hand, and he knows inside him, he's been briefed before during his practice, that when I cut my hand, there will be mark deduction. So bila dia tahu secara mental yang dia pun akan kehilangan markah, dia punya motivasi tu akan jatuh. Dia punya sense of motivation, dia punya spiritual behavior pun akan turun secara tak langsung. So this is very intriguing, and that is why it should not happen in the first place. This is the whole idea and concept. So competitor nombor 2 tu, he actually has a deep cut, and then he had about 15-20 minutes break, and dua-dua dapat bronze dua-dua dapat gold dengan silver. Satu kek hangus tak boleh makan. The expert in the tasting room, including myself, was actually spit out that cake because cannot eat, and everyone gives 0 for him on the tasting of his cake. And macam mana dia boleh dapat gold? So it was very intriguing. It was very alarming in the jury room. But the beauty of it, Philippines, Thailand, Singapore, and Brunei fight for Malaysia. They fight for Malaysia. They say, we don't agree. We agree only if Malaysia get gold. I did not say this. Chef Sabri did not say that. We will remain quiet because I was the first time, like I mentioned. Chef Sabri is being very passive because he needs to take care of many other things because he was the chief expert. He was not involved much on the marking scheme. He was more involved in the technical side in taking care of the organization of the what you call of the whole competition and also the jury, because sometimes you have other small issues that you have to handle. So I was a bit stunned when I see these attributes of honesty and integrity, because we know for sure at that time when we get the result, Indonesia tipu on their marking. But the jury, the panel jury and the judges of expert and an expert must agree to that marks. If they don't agree to that mark, that means we cannot settle the trade cannot be deemed as complete. So we have to settle it. Everyone have to sign this marking result, the marks and the result of the trade. Then the trade can go onto the podium, onto the closing ceremony. If not, the closing ceremony will happen and cooking will become masalah. So this always happen. I mean, this is the raw information about the competition. I only tell you about Jakarta, okay? I won't share you about Hanoi and Leipzig and Abu Dhabi and what happened in Kazan. The life is a bit more complex there, because if you go to ASEAN Skill, the politics among the jury is very direct. But if you go to Worldskills International, the politics is even more, dia lebih halus. So kita as an expert have to be very, very diligent, have to be very alert. And communication and language skills is super important, because you need to argue. Because people are pinpointing your competitor. People are looking for mistakes on your competitor, and some of the mistake is not relevant. Some of the mistake even doesn't happen. They create that mistake to deduct your competitor's mark. Some experts like that. And this happened in Worldskills International. They just create that storyline, so in order for them to deduct your competitor's mark. Because why? They don't want you to get the medal. So, but people will argue with this kind of people when they know that your competitor is a top notch. Like what happened in Jakarta. When your competitor did so well, from the second day and the third day, they already know this guy will definitely have the gold medal. You don't need to fight for him anymore, because other country expert will actually fight for you. That's what happened in Jakarta. So the Philippines, Thailand, and Brunei and Singapore fight for the Malaysian competitor. Say, okay, we have a dispute. Let's bring out the raw mark. So we asked the chief. We asked the chief expert. The chief expert was the chief expert was actually an Indonesian expert. Chef Sabri was his assistant, if I'm not mistaken. So we call upon him and we asked for the raw mark. We asked for the raw mark, and then you know what he say? I left it at home. Tinggal rumah, Pak. If you want to go back, it'll be a big traffic jam. It'll take about 3 hours. Don't worry, we will wait. So we waited. We waited, and Chef Sabri and I come back from the competition hall to our room to our hotel 3 a.m. 3 a.m. Just because to make sure that we double check everything. Yes, we have double checked all the raw marks, and we only check the Indonesian competitor and the Malaysian competitor. It's true they changed the marks of the Malaysian competitor, because whenever the Malaysian competitor get 3, they pulled it down to 1. So we had a big argumentation at the time. So that is now the shoulder, the burden is fall on the shoulder of the expert. It's up to us to fight. So Chef Sabri and I was fighting, and we want to make sure that this is changed. And then they say, okay, the CIS room is actually the competition information system whereby they do the marking. So the CIS team or the technical computer team will only open at 6 a.m. So we came back at 3 a.m. and we come back to the competition hall just to make sure that we have a fresh print of the new result at 6 a.m. And we actually waited. Chef Sabri and I actually literally waited in front of the CIS room or the competition information system room, whereby they officially print our result. And then when they print, they still put Indonesia number 1, but Malaysia number 2, but we still get the gold. And then we argue again. We argue, and then we fight. Actually, we fight for the Malaysian flag, because we know for sure the Malaysian competitor should get gold. So this is now our duty as an expert to fight for him. Because why? Because he did so well, and all the other experts and the majority of the experts has agreed, even without looking at the result, that the Malaysian competitor should get gold. This is the direction that we want to portray and we want to do. Even belum habis competition, orang dah cakap dia ni confirm gold. Because as a chef, you can know, you are there judging for 4 days. You have actually literally see 100% of the competitor going around, and you actually see who is good, who is not good, who will get gold. You think, you will assume. So if you do well, if the competition do to that perfection level, no one will question you. And if you don't deserve, if you don't get the gold or the medal that you deserve, definitely they will fight for you. That's one thing for sure. This is the idea. We have to do above expectation, above okay. We have to do, like I mentioned, you just have to be wow. You just have to wow. Your items have to be completely wow from the moment you come in during the orientation until the moment or the last step that you left. This happens almost every ASEAN skill that we have done. Go through. Worldskills is a bit different. Worldskills is a bit more complex. The story is a bit longer. For those of you who wants to know, probably can PM me or call me up, and we can have a chat about what's going on in the actual Worldskills. But in ASEAN skill, most of the time, if there's any problem in the marking scheme, the other expert in other country of the ASEAN actually fight for Malaysian competitor, because to make sure that we get the goal that we deserve. This is the whole idea. If you deserve the goal, the competitor deserve the goal, they will get the goal. We don't get the goal through cheating. We don't get the goal through backdoor. We don't get the goal through bribery. We don't get goal because I try to rub other countries' shoulder. No way, man. I don't have time to do all this. Kita orang Islam. We want to win, we win properly. We win because we deserve to win. If I see that our competitor don't deserve to win, that means they don't deserve to win. Finish story. I'll go back and tell JPK, I'm sorry, the competitor is not competent enough. We made a mistake. What can we do? So that's the whole idea, that you have to do above expectation. You have to do wow. You have to create wowness in your food, in every single aspect of the test project, because it is super important. Because if you don't do that, then you just remain as at a par level. Because the game that they play in the Worldskills is very intriguing. It's very very smart sometimes. You know what happened? Example in Hanoi, in Vietnam, lagi teruk, lampu padam, blackout. That time Chef Sabri was chief expert. Correct. In Hanoi, Chef Sabri was the chief expert. So Chef Sabri was in the CIS room redoing the mark, because we have a problem with the mark again. Tak tahu lah apa hal. So I didn't know much about it because Chef Sabri was handling it. Tiba-tiba blackout. Tapi yang blackout bukan the whole hall. Blackout tu cuma bilik CIS tu je. Oh, lepas tu dia cakap dengan Syafrin, don't worry Chef, you can go home. We will settle the marks. And then Chef Sabri cakap, mana boleh? I will wait until tomorrow morning. No, don't worry Chef, you have a rest, don't worry. You can go back tomorrow, come in, we will print out the marks for you. And then saya pun, I was waiting outside of the CIS room, and then Chef Sabri said at 2 a.m. Yeah, often, seriously, I'm telling you, experts during the actual Worldskills will have sleepless nights. Dekat Kazan, in Kazan, we came back 4 a.m. And we have to come back in the competition hall at 7 a.m. You can ask any expert. Ada yang tidur dekat competition hall pun ada. You can ask Puan Junita from CAT. You can ask welding punya expert. You can ask some other trade. Some of them actually sleep in the competition hall. This is a bit berserk and crazy to me lah. But in Kazan, I left because there was a bit of a problem, and I totally ignored this problem, and the chief expert was mad at me. I don't care. I stand for my right. You know, if you're pissed off with me, I'm more pissed off to you. So what do you want? I mean, it's 4 o'clock a.m. You want to decide who gets gold, who gets silver. That's totally bullshit. I better go back and perform my tahajjud, no? Or sleep even better than entertaining you guys. So anyways, so in Hanoi, blackout. So blackout, dia cakap, oh semua data kita hilang. So kita kena buat balik. So kena buat balik apa? 4 hari punya marking. 4 hari punya marking kena key in balik. Oh, this is super ridiculous. So of course, obviously, when the next day come in, Vietnam get gold. So, and then that dispute happened again. So Thailand, some other ASEAN country actually fight for us, Malaysian candidate. Say, no, Malaysian is supposed to get gold. Vietnam cannot get gold. This is the statement in the jury room. Vietnam cannot get gold. Malaysia should get gold. This guy should get gold. So I didn't even had a chance to extend my defense for my competitor, and other country already stand behind me and say Malaysia should get gold. That's the idea. So even in the Worldskills International, your candidate is good, and they will back it up. So this is the expert competency. But you must, as a competitor, you must do very well first, because no one will back you up if you just serve silly food or you just serve okay food on your plate. If there's no wow factor on your plate, no one will fight for you. These people are not paid to fight for you. These people are supposed to fight for their own country and for their own flag, but instead they fight for Malaysia. You see, so and high esteem, that high esteem of experts around ASEAN country or even the Worldskills community is for Malaysian candidate. This is our track record. And the moment we come into ASEAN Skill, the moment we come into the Worldskills, people look at, okay, Malaysia, we better be careful with these guys. So something like that kind of impression, okay? And in cooking trade, it covers all aspects. You have to train from A to Z. Either appetizers, soup, canapé, finger food, main course to dessert. We won't be doing cakes much, but you will do something like a petit gâteau. You probably have to. And the idea of all these courses and all these of meals that you're gonna have to do is actually innovation. You must stand at least 40 to 50% of your dishes is an innovation. Although the test project is actually segregated into traditional dishes, original classical dishes. Some of it also have modern technique. Some of it have pasta. You have opportunity to innovate in the presentation side. You have opportunity to innovate on the recipe where they say, okay, we want a modern recipe. So the aspect of the test project will vary. One aspect of test project, day 1 will probably just do classical, day 2 will do modern, day 4 will do pasta, and day 3 would probably do 3-course meal, something like that. So they will give you extra freedom for some test project, some aspect in a test project, and they'll give you some stringent or some strict rules to follow or strict recipe to follow in some other aspect in the test project. So in the test project, usually we have about 2 to 3 parts, where that part is actually broken down into smaller parts or criteria. So example, test project for for Kazan, we have part 1, part 2, part 3, or module part 1, part A, part B, part C, part D. So part A is day 1, part B is day 2, part C is day 3, part D is day 4. And in part A, there'll be two aspects, which is, or two criteria, which is finger food and soup. And then part B, there will be two items again, fish course or fish main course and dessert. And then part C or part day 3, you'll have one main course and one appetizer, or vegetarian main course, vegetarian appetizer and a beef main course. So in part D or day 4, you have 3-course menu, one appetizer, hot appetizer, hot main course, and of course a dessert, or maybe they'll say frozen dessert. And among that test project, there'll be a mystery item that will be only be announced during the competition or a day before the competition, or we call familiarization day. Because when a competitor goes to a Worldskills, they do not just go for that 4 days of competition. They will spend about 1.5 weeks in that country. You will enjoy the organizer will bring you around. You'll see the town. You'll see some culture there. You know, it's going to be quite nice. It's not just 100% competition. But although you're supposed to be there for competition and get goal, or if not, you don't come back. But it's you get opportunity to look at the, travel a bit here and there, have a look through what's going on in that country and that town. But the whole idea of the test project is also to give you a bit of enhancement and learning experience through the recipe that you are exploring and practice. And there are mystery items such as mystery fruit for dessert. There are mystery fish for the fish main course. There could be also mystery herbs for the finger food. There also have been a mystery ingredient for the cream soup. There's also a time whereby you have a mystery protein for a main course. So every year, every 2 years, they will change this mystery item. Either you come in the finger food or appetizer or a soup or even a main course, even for the dessert. They'll say, okay, mystery. Commonly for dessert, they'll have mystery fruits. For finger food, they'll have you mystery herbs or mystery ingredients even, and the ingredient to be made compulsory. Most of the time, the mystery ingredients to be made compulsory. If it's a mystery protein, then it must be the main item. But if it's on the finger food, appetizer, or dessert, it could be a component of the main item. So that means it's a supplement. It doesn't have to be the main item. But if it's for a main course, usually it is actually a main item for your main course. That is the mystery item. That's commonly, but it changes every 2 years. It depends on the expert discussion, because the one who build up this test project is actually all the experts from the Worldskills, and the main book that you must refer to through this recipe building, the basics, is the Classical Cooking in a Modern Way by Eugene Pauli, and also 2 of the book from his son called Philip Pauli, which is from the recipe and also technique and method. But the main book for the Worldskills references is actually the book called The Classical Cooking in a Modern Way authored by Eugene Pauli. This book, I'm sure any chef or any lecturer or any chef would familiarize with this book. This is actually a handbook for any cuisine or French cuisine that you're learning. Is a must-have for the competitor. The competitor must read through. You must understand what is a julienne, what is a brunoise, what is the terminology, because in Kazan you are required to do julienne, to do half-boiled egg. You have to do what you call an egg dish, or a 7 minutes egg or 6 minute egg. You have to produce a brunoise, a julienne, a tournai. So all these are taken from Eugene Pauli cookbook. And the technique and the recipe example, if you are in your test project, you have to have pomme dauphinoise or gratinated potato. You have to refer the recipe in the Philip Pauli book or the Eugene Pauli book, because there's a certain method and certain ingredients that you can add in. Some people add beef bacon, right? In their pomme dauphinoise. Some people add cream cheese. Some people add parmesan cheese, whatever. But you must follow if the pomme dauphinoise is stated inside a test project, you must follow this book and follow only this book, because if you put in some strange item or any additional item that is not in the book, we will consider as a marked deduction, because you do not preserve the originality of the food. See, like example, you're doing a satay. Pergi competition buat masak satay. Habis satay tak ada cucuk. Satay, we call it stir fry satay. Habis macam mana tak ada lidi satay? How do you serve satay without lidi satay? Ini bukan satay. Ini namanya stir fried chicken or stir fried beef. So satay you must have mesti ada lidi satay tu. Mesti ada cucuk. So kalau tidak, so you have to preserve. So some recipe in the test project, you must preserve the originality of the recipe, and the recipe must come from the classical cooking in a modern way by Eugene Pauli, Philip Pauli. But the main textbook for cooking trade in the Worldskills is actually referring to Eugene Pauli cookbook. So, and most of the recipe building or test project, or if we have any dispute in the test project, we'll refer to this book. And on top of that, we always, as a Malaysian competitor, I have always trained my students and also the Malaysian competitor to learn from these 3 books that you see in the screen. 2 by Thomas Keller, one is the French Laundry cookbook, and one is the Under Pressure cookbook. It's a must-have as well. I'm sorry, but it's a must-have. If you can't afford to buy the hard copy, although the best is to have a hard copy, if you don't have the money to buy the hard copy, and you probably can afford to take the soft copy online and then print it out black and white. As long as you have it hard copy, you do not refer. I don't allow any competitor to refer to their tab or to their phone to read, because life is a bit different when you have a hard copy and when you read from the screen. And of course, the one of the prominent cookbook that we refer to in our recipe is actually the book by Modernist Cuisine. And of course, this book is super expensive, it's about 2,500 ringgit, but you can get it online and you can print it out black and white. Under Pressure cookbook costs you about 350 ringgit, if I'm not mistaken, and the French Laundry cookbook is another about 300 ringgit. So it's also involved in money, but you don't worry about that, because these books, I have them and they have been with me for many, many years. And it's a very good reference for any type of garnishes and anything that we do in the Worldskills. And it actually work. All the recipe work, because sometimes you refer to some cookbook, the recipe doesn't work. So Thomas Keller's book actually is something that I trust, and we always use it as a reference and to see if we are lost in our idea and also technique that we need to do for our test project. And like I mentioned before, and I mentioned again, we're not interested in the good. Of course, we're interested in the goal and only the sublime. Means you cannot do just good in this Worldskills platform. You have to do exceptionally well. You have to do almost perfect in order for you to get that goal, because we are still longing to get gold in the Worldskills International. So far, we only get bronze, and that bronze apparently is a history and is a yesterday's success. Now we are moving forward. We need to go for that goal and get the first goal for the country and make Malaysia proud in the podium in the Worldskills International. Thank you very much. Back to you, Miss Organizer.
Okay. Terima kasih kepada Chef Farouk dengan pembentangan yang panjang lebar, where he speaks more than his slide today. Chef, satu soalan dari saya lah. Saya pun baru tahu. So if you wear glasses while you cooking and you keep touching it, so it's considered bad habit. I just knew about this today.
Yes. Bad habit and hygiene problem.
Okay, kita mungkin akan terus ke sesi soal jawab, Chef. Ada soalan-soalan yang akan dikemukakan di ruangan chat yang telah dipilih oleh Sekretariat.
Di Q&A
Nanti kita baca di screen soalan-soalan yang telah dipilih oleh Sekretariat. Okay, so kita akan saksikan di screen sharing kita. Banyak soalannya. Boleh besarkan sikit. Saya boleh nampak tak?
Boleh.
Okay, soalan ada 5. Okay, banyaknya soalan daripada Encik Sudirman. Soalan pertama nanti saya bacakan semua, nanti Chef jawab lah ya. Okey, soalannya pertama, bagaimana memastikan soalan kulineri ini sentiasa halal? Cik faham ke soalan tu?
Faham.
Okey,
In the
soalan
Worldskills platform, all the food has always been halal. If there's any alcoholic beverages involved, they will not make it as a compulsory ingredients. Itu dah memang faham daripada kita kat Leipzig lagi. Chef Sabri dah fight, and now we are continuously to fight because in respect of the Muslim competitor. We cannot, they cannot make the ingredients of a non-halal ingredients to become compulsory in the test project. So far, there's no pork. Definitely, there's no pork in the competition. Since Abu Dhabi, Kazan, we never had any issue with halal items, halal meat. We never have issue halal meat in Australia as well. We never had any halal issue in ASEAN Skill too. So far, halal meat that we are doing are always been sources from a halal supplier and is actually halal. So kalau ada alcoholic beverage, even that is probably in the Worldskills International, Worldskills ASEAN memang tak ada. Kalau ada alkohol macam diorang bagilah, diorang letak dekat store punya list, macam all this wine or whatever, tapi dia benda tu tidak compulsory dan tidak dimasukkan dalam kriteria dalam test project. Maknanya tak wajib. Jadi kita tak pakai, tak ada masalah.
Okey, terus soalan keduanya, bagaimana kita dapat memasukkan resepi Malaysia dalam pertandingan? Sebagai contoh, katanya soalan menyediakan rendang daging, mungkin rendang harimau menangis ke macam tu.
Harimau menangis, nanti menangis tak bawa balik medal betul. Actually kita tertakluk kepada bahan mentah yang telah disediakan oleh pihak juri atau expert, dan kita tertakluk kepada apa yang diperlukan oleh test project. Kebanyakannya test project tidak pernah menyuruh kita untuk menyediakan bahan yang maksudnya menyediakan resepi tradisional daripada negara masing-masing. Tidak. Platform Worldskills tidak ada ruang untuk kita menyediakan institusi makanan daripada negara masing-masing. Sebab memang Worldskills bukan begitu. Jadi kalau kita nak bawa rendang ke international competition macam ni memang agak susah, sebab juga kita deal dengan, we have about 60%, 70% of the jury semua orang-orang putih. Yang Mak Saleh punya tang. Jadi kalau kita bagi rendang takut dia tak biasa, nanti terus dapat kosong. Like what happened to my Bocuse d'Or plate? I did my Bocuse d'Or in 2009 and I thought of bringing beef rendang to make a statement in the Bocuse d'Or, but instead they hate that rendang because they said rendang tastes spicy and all that stuff. Yeah, that's the thing.
Okey, soalan ketiga, Chef. Bagaimana memastikan markah dari expert adalah tepat? Maksudnya rasa setiap expert tu kan berlainan kan. Jadi lebih-lebih lagi mungkin lidah expert dari pelbagai negara. So adakah pemarkahan penampilan hasil pemakanan itu akan mempengaruhi markah dari sudut rasa tu sendiri? Soalan daripada Encik Sudirman juga.
Rasa ni kita memang lain orang lain cita rasa kan. Tapi dalam Worldskills ni dia punya rasa dia akan sama sebab dia punya test project tu very guided. Jadi tu dia suruh buat Hollandaise. Hollandaise akan rasa macam Hollandaise lah. Tapi kalau kita rasa benda tu dia macam ni. Dalam tasting room dia marking dia 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay? This is what we call subjective marking. Atau dia panggil satu measurement is actually objective marking, and then kita ada satu lagi marking which is called a subjective. Dah lama tak pergi competition dah terlupa. Sorry. So subjective marking 0, 1, 2, 3. So kita ada 3 juri yang akan buat testing. So juri pertama akan bagi 0 contoh. Juri kedua akan bagi 2, juri ketiga akan bagi 3. So at the end of the competition, bila dah habis juri, dah habis testing, 3 orang juri ni akan duduk sama-sama, dia akan discuss. Dia orang akan discuss yang ni, dia orang akan wartakan markah masing-masing. So juri A bagi 0, sedangkan juri B dengan C bagi 2 dengan 3. So kita ada gap. So gap antara juri ni tak boleh lebih pada 1. Maknanya dia kena ada 1 atau 2 atau 3 dengan 2. Kalau ada 1, 2, 3 atau 0, 2, 3, maknanya kita ada gap. Bila kita ada gap, 1 kena justify, 3 kena justify. So 2 relax, 2 tu neutral. So sebanyak dekat WorldSkills banyak main 2 je sebab dia nak neutral. Sebab bila letak 2, jarang orang bagi 0 unless betul-betul tak boleh makan. So dia akan safety je. Sebab kalau dia letak 3, nanti tiba-tiba lagi 2 juri bagi 1-1, dia kena justify ataupun dia kena turun. Daripada 3 dia kena jadi 2. So the justification based on majority of the jury. So macam mana rasa sedap tak sedap, this is depend on these 3 jury. So this 3 jury will do that marking. And of course the jury has pledged and dah angkat sumpah cakap dia akan berlaku integrity dan sebagainya. Tapi so far based on my experience on the tasting jury side in ASEAN Skill, because dekat WorldSkills kita guna third party, even nowadays we are using third party tasting jury, that means blind tasting. Maknanya para expert yang jadi juri ni tak masuk lagi untuk buat tasting. Kita akan panggil juri daripada luar yang tak ada kena-mengena langsung dengan competition. So dari situ kita akan ada control. So 0 akan sama ada naik ke 1 ataupun yang 2 tu akan turun kepada 1. Macam itulah lebih kurang. So they will argue lah, yang 0 ni akan argue lah kenapa dia bagi 0, yang 2 ni akan argue kenapa dia bagi 2. So lazimnya dalam juri punya discussion tu, yang kalau ada dua orang bagi 1 orang bagi 3, yang 3 tu akan automatik turun 2. Sebab 2 orang yang bagi 1 ni takkan naik kepada 2. Sebab nak suruh 2 orang naikkan mereka, forget it. Dia akan turun. Yang 3 tu akan turun. Dan biasanya kalau ada 2 atau 0, ada 2 juri bagi 2, lepas tu 1 juri bagi 0. Yang 0 tu akan terus naik pada 1. Automatik. Dia tak lagi. Tapi kalau ada 1, 2, 3, 1 ni akan gaduh dengan 3 ni. Yang 2 ni akan jadi moderator lah. Itu kalau agak-agak tak boleh settle, chief expert, dia panggil chief expert. Chief expert akan buat justification. Kat sini yang susah. Sebab apa? 2 kepala ni dah degil. Kalau macam dekat ASEAN Skill kat Bangkok tu, dua-dua saya hantuk kepala pam. Okay, settle.
Okay.
Itulah lebih kurang.
Okay, soalan terakhir daripada Cik Sudirman ni. Seperti yang ada Chef cerita tadi pasal politik kan. Jadi bagaimana untuk mengatasi politik kotor expert itu sendiri di masa pertandingan, sebab bukankah pandangan expert ni boleh dipengaruhi lah kan oleh situasi hubungan antara negara tu?
Sebab tu saya kena jadi chief expert. Supaya kena adil dan sama. Politik kotor ni is something that we cannot control unless we are the chief expert. We are the chief. Kalau kita chief expert, kita boleh control. Sebab kalau kita jadi expert biasa je atau juri biasa je, grup-grup lain tu kita tak tahu what's going on. Apa yang dia buat untuk kompetitor kita pun tak tahu. Kadang-kadang diorang ni saling membunuh. Dia saling membunuh each other. They will kill each other. So we don't know what's going on. Tapi sebagai chief expert, kita boleh nampak apa yang diorang marking dalam 1 hari atau 2 hari, 3 hari tu. Jadi kita boleh tahu. So bila as an expert or as a chief expert, when we see inconsistency of their marking, then we can call the expert and have a meeting during the competition. Macam contoh day 1 atau contoh day 2. Day 2 punya marking a bit inconsistent to compare with day 1. So the chief expert boleh panggil juri-juri atau expert yang, sebab senang panggil expert lah, sebab yang expert ni akan jadi juri dekat competition tu. Kita akan panggil, kita akan meeting. Look guys, what's going on? What happened? Why do you give this guy? Why do you give that guy? So kita akan mempersoalkan dia punya kaedah marking. Sebab dalam CIS pun sekarang dia boleh detect, dalam komputer CIS tu dia boleh detect expert ni punya inconsistency. Macam contoh, hari ni dia bagi semua 3 je. Besok tiba-tiba dia bagi semua 0, 1 je. Lepas tu nanti at the end of the competition after day 4, CIS punya teknologi ni dia akan detect. Juri ni tak betul cara dia judging. CIS boleh detect. So kalau any juri yang cuba bermain kotor dalam marking scheme, maknanya bila diorang cuba main kotor, diorang punya marking kriteria tu dalam day 1 to day 2, day 2, day 3, day 4 tak konsisten tau. Sebab diorang mengikut perasaan diorang marking. Diorang tak ikut consistency of the competitor. Because competitor sentiasa konsisten. Because dia dah train lama. Macam mana pun, daripada negara mana pun. Memang selalu macam tu. Tapi bila expert ni yang tak jujur, bila bagi markah macam tanya ikut perasaan dia, CAS punya sistem boleh detect. Di itu teknologi lah. Tapi sebagai chief expert kita pun boleh tengok secara manual dan kita boleh panggil lah kenapa dia orang akan justify. Sebab tidak ada orang yang boleh mempersoalkan chief expert.
Okey. Okey, soalan terakhir kita pada hari ini, Chef. Saya tak tahulah kalau Chef yang patut menjawabnya, tapi soalan dari sahabat kita juga, Encik Budiman Bistari.
Ya, Chef Budiman.
Langkah atau lanjutan persediaan kepada pelajar, adakah perlu untuk menakluki bahasa Inggeris atau menguasai bahasa Inggeris dengan baiklah? Kita tahu bahawa test projek dan juga rujukan semuanya dalam bahasa Inggeris. Jadi mungkin ini lebih pada nasihat ataupun pendapat Chef, apa pendekatan agensi atau sekolah dalam isu ini?
Agensi dengan sekolah dan juga institusi itu terpulang kepada mereka lah. Apa yang saya boleh katakan, bahasa Inggeris adalah wajib untuk satu-satu kewajipan untuk mewakili negara ke pentas Worldskills. Sebab satu, dia kena faham baik-baik test projek. Sebab ada juga dalam Worldskills yang mana kompetitor dan expert tak faham test projek, bukan diorang tak faham kerana diorang tak mahir, tapi diorang tak faham kerana diorang tidak mahir berbahasa Inggeris. Jadi interpretation of the test project is misunderstood. So contoh, dia kena buat dia kena buat dia panggil peti 4. Peti 4 dia kena buat 6 kali 3. Namanya 6 pieces kali 3 jenis peti 4. So dia perlu buat 18 pieces. That means 6. Tapi bila dia tak faham bahasa Inggeris dan dia tak faham interpretation of the test project, dia buat 18 each peti 4. 18. End up apa dia buat? Dia buat style banquet lah. Potong jalan. So dia buat bulk, potong jalan. Ini salah. Ini idea sesat. Ideologi sesat. Sebab apa? Sebab dia tak faham bahasa Inggeris. Kita boleh tengok peserta daripada negara tu dan expert dia juga tak faham bahasa Inggeris. Dan bahasa Inggeris juga penting sebab bila awak menang gold medal, awak akan diinterview oleh media-media dan juga macam-macam jenis orang. So awak perlulah berbahasa Inggeris sikit. Dan kena ada that sense of confidence level and also dalam Worldskills itself kita briefing oleh expert semua dalam bahasa Inggeris. Expert macam expert of the own country tak boleh translate. Kita kan ada translator, tapi bila ada translator, dia bukan dalam bidang masakan atau bidang cooking. Bila dia bukan daripada bidang cooking, some interpretation dia takkan dapat translate. Nanti takut translate jadi salah. So lebih baik dia menguasai bahasa tersebut supaya dia senang dan faham apa yang telah diajukan oleh chief expert semasa pertandingan. Sebab masa tu expert dah tak boleh bercakap dah dengan kompetitor. Masa dah masuk. Sebab kadang-kadang selalunya ada last minute punya information yang perlu diambil kira semasa daily briefing of the competitor. So kalau dia tak faham, Mak Saleh ni cakap English atau the chief expert ni cakap English, kadang-kadang pula dengan masing-masing ada slang-slang masing-masing, lagi pitam je lagi nak faham. Jadi kalau dia tak menguasai bahasa Inggeris, dia akan jadi satu masalah di tapak pertandingan. Sebab kalau dia tak faham, dia salah faham, dia akan membabitkan markah dia. Itu masalah tu.
Ya, akan efek banyak lah ya, Chef ya.
Betul.
Okey, kita rasa dah tamatlah untuk sesi soal jawab. Mohon maaf, kita banyak sebenarnya dapat soalan-soalan dalam bidang cooking ni. Dia macam hotline betul lah.
Hotline.
Tapi kita tak dapat nak jawab semua soalan kerana masa yang singkat. Tapi sekiranya ada sebarang pertanyaan ataupun maklumat penganjuran, para peserta bolehlah ke laman web JPK di www.dsg.gov.my/skillsmalaysia atau boleh hantarkan soalan tersebut ke email skillsmalaysia@gmail.com. Jadi setinggi-tinggi penghargaan kepada Chef FAROUK dari Taylor's University College atas pembentangan dan juga perkongsian menerusi webinar kita pada petang ini. Semoga ini memberi manfaat dan juga kefahaman kepada para peserta. Maka dengan ini berakhirlah perkongsian webinar bagi bidang cooking Jadi sebelum mengundurkan diri, kita mohon maaflah daripada pihak sekretariat sekiranya ada sebarang kekurangan dan kita akan cuba memperbaikinya daripada semasa ke semasa untuk sesi-sesi yang mendatang. Akhir sekali, prihatin rakyat, darurat memerangi COVID-19. Sekian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.